channel for British Documentary Film Foundation. Just as an interest point, who here is a documentary filmmaker as opposed to fiction? There are a couple. Okay, so what I'm talking about is mainly applies to documentaries but can be transferred into other areas of filmmaking. We do quite a lot of different strands in the organisation, so I'd encourage you to have a look at our website to find out everything, but I'm going to look at 3 major points today. The first of which is an event that we run called the Good Pitch. And what we identified when we founded the foundation was that the broadcast system of commissioning a film, screening a film on television, and then it disappearing just wasn't really of the most benefit to filmmakers. We wanted to reinterpret how you, A, get your film kind of financed, and also how it's distributed in terms of the partners that you work with to make that happen. So 3 years ago, we founded an event called the Good Pitch. And this meant that filmmakers would pitch their idea for a documentary, specifically with a social kind of action message to coincide with it. Now, around the pitching table, you'd normally see kind of broadcast commissioning executives or private financiers. And what we want to do is bring in anybody else who might be interested in that film. So, for example, if you are making a climate change film, the members of Greenpeace are probably going to be very interested in that. And that organisation should be key to the kind of formation of, A, the kind of film's kind of overall kind of structure and narrative, but vitally how it gets kind of seen by its audience. So this is a site that I'd encourage you to go and have a look at, which is goodfilm.org. And here we profile what we call kind of good films. So these are documentary films which have a kind of call to action for the audience. And we now list them in terms of the good pitch that we've been doing. So this year we're doing New York, San Francisco, and London. And as you can see here, there's a list of the 8 films which have been pitched at the event. And then down below are the partner organisations that attend. And in the first one, we had 50 organisations in attendance. We now get between 300 and 400 delegates at each event. And these range, Dogwoof is a traditional distributor, well, a kind of social issue distributor here in the UK. MoFilm is an online short film platform. Then you have the British Council, YouGov, Gucci brands, so a whole range of different organisations. And I just kind of suggest you go and have a look there and see the types of people who are actually interested in getting involved with film. And that kind of, the brokering of those relationships is quite a kind of tentative, kind of slowly breaking in a kind of conversation with them. But once you bring them in and they're really kind of encouraged to get involved, that can really kind of open doors for you in terms of fiscal elements and non-fiscal. So the Good Pitch that we've run has so far leveraged over $2 million in support for these documentary films. But as I say, you can't really quantify kind of Greenpeace saying, yes, my 5 million members are going to know about your film because your trailer's on our homepage. So there's kind of different ways there. And up here, there's a learning tab, and we kind of summarise kind of what we've learned in these last 3 years. But I'd say kind of have a look at kind of all the essence in this website and kind of then apply it to fiction work if that's what you're doing. Obviously, it won't work for every film, but there are kind of crossovers. Who here has heard of The End of the Line? Anyone? Okay, a couple. Who suddenly kind of saw a rise in press awareness about sustainability, ethical fish, where does your fish come from, anything like that in the last kind of year? Who shops in Pret a Manger ever and buys a sandwich? Anyone notice they now have little stickers that say this tuna is sustainably caught? Probably didn't notice that, but they do. On the back of that film, a whole kind of market shift happened, and we wanted to track that and kind of make an evaluation. So we've just launched the kind of evaluation report there, and I say it's just good to have a read about it and see how you can, again, prove to a funder that you're actually doing something impactful. That was the kind of 3 main ones I wanted you to have a look at. And then just briefly, the other element that we work with is good screenings. And we collaborated with a filmmaker called Franny Armstrong, who's heard of The Age of Stupid. Everyone's heard a lot of hand waving, this is good today. So Franny is a maverick in terms of the one-woman machine about making things happen, and she launched her own distribution platform called Indie Screenings, which is a way for anybody in the world to screen her film, which gave her a screening fee to go back into her pocket. In the first 6 months, she raised over £100,000 using this system, because rather than saying, here, nice distributor, take my film, you can own everything, and you can choose the cinemas, and you can choose the broadcaster. She said, no, everything's going to be on a non-exclusive basis, and I'm going to keep some ownership of my content, because I spent 5 years making this. And then she said, anybody can screen it, and if you are a school group of 20 of you in Leeds, you can pay me £30, but if you're a business conference, maybe in the Labour Party annual conference, you can pay me £1,000. So the kind of tiering of that fee was appropriate to the type of audience that wanted to watch it. And this was the great thing, because there are other distributors who say, give me 250 quid, otherwise not watching the film. And that's really bad. Someone wants to watch your film, but they're being told no because they can't afford that initial license fee. And that is such a kind of stop guard for a lot of people wanting to interact with your content.
I'm going to talk to you about the Cosmonaut, which is a film project by Riot Cinema Collective. That's the name of our production company. This is a little production company based in Madrid, in Spain. We've never done a film before, and well, this goes back from kind of 2 years ago, 3 years ago. The director of the film has a short film in mind. Then he thought he could make a feature film out of it. And he realizes that it was impossible for him to make a feature film. Like he didn't want to spend like 3 years knocking doors of producers, and they would tell him no, no, no. So he heard about crowdfunding, and that's how all started. So this is the normal business model. You first raise finance. When you got the money, you make the film. Then you sell it to a distributor. And then is when you start to raise awareness, hype, build audience, so you can sell this film to the audience. And the final step is exhibition. In the Cosmonaut, we kind of do things in a different way. This is more or less our scheme. We start making low-cost media, such as a teaser trailer I'm going to show you at the end. And we talk with our community, and we participate with them since the beginning of the production. Okay? So when we have not even the final script, just a script, a draft for a script, we put it online, we make a website, and we start talking with people. So there's the launch, and then before you got the movie finished, even before you got a final script, is when you start to raise awareness of your movie, to build an audience, to collaborate with the audience. There's something that we did that was quite successful. When we released our first teaser trailer, which I'm going to show you at the end, we decided we were going to make a contest out of it. So we put all the footage that we have shot online so people can download it and remix it in their own way to make alternative versions of the teaser trailer. And for the free, I think, 5 better ones, we would give awards. Prizes like t-shirts, cameras, and stuff. So more than 80 remixes of the teaser trailer were made. It was a great success. A lot of people knew about us because of this contest. And that's a good, maybe our best example of collaborating with audience. We, of course, have a Facebook account, Twitter account, a blog. We started talking about a first trip we did to Russia to see locations for the movie, because, well, I haven't told you what is this movie about. But it's a sci-fi film about a cosmonaut, a Russian cosmonaut who gets lost in space. But when you see the teaser trailer, you'll get a better idea. So, as I said, you collaborate with the audience, you build an audience, and then is when you started to raise finance. One of the ways is crowdfunding, another one is sponsorship, and pre-sale. I'll talk about that in a second. So you do all this, and then you ask yourself, okay, do I have enough audience? There's enough audience for this film to be successful. Yes, you make the film. No, you keep doing the same thing. We've been doing this for around 2 years, and we are gonna shoot finally this in about April, June this year. We're casting right now, and we didn't get all the money we wanted, but if some of you were at the other building this morning, as Elliot said from the Renders Film Festival, you just shoot with the money you have.
Roughly, depending on whose figures you believe, 1/3 to 3/4 of all the films made in the world never come to the UK, and the UK has a big appetite for film. Fortunately, other countries like Peru and Greece and Afghanistan or wherever, most of their programming that's on television, this works to our advantage. This is why you've got to make your films international. Most of their programming is acquisition. And so you've got to be selling to your investors something that is going to sell abroad. Too many of the films I distribute are just aimed at the UK market, and they're going to fail for lots of different reasons. But that film may appeal to people in Greece or Afghanistan or Peru. 80% of some of those countries' programming is acquisition, and that's why they're so incredibly important. For your crowdfund, the people you go to, there are lots of people. Within the theatre, and to some extent, I went to a screening of a Nick Moran film, which Carnaby made. It wasn't particularly very good. And I was amazed that there was a huge champagne reception. This is why Carnaby are rather brilliant, and they get lots and lots of, their films leave a lot to be desired. But I met all these people, and they were like shopkeepers, and people had put in like £1,000, £1,500, £2,000, and they had never expected to get this money back. They wanted the fun of it. They loved the idea that they were at the Cannes Film Festival. They weren't at the Cannes Film Festival. They were in the Cannes market. They paid for their own hotels, their own flights out there. They never saw any money back from that film. But they liked the experience of it all. And that's what you've got to tap into. That's what crowdfunding does. And I'm slightly skeptical of all the crowdfunding sites because there's too many of them and there's loads of producers on there because, as somebody said earlier, it's very competitive. You don't want him or her to get the money. You want it to get it for yourself. And Yorkshire happens to be, Leeds, where we are now, is this country's second financial capital. And there is so much money here. The big secret is getting them in. I spoke to some people in York who are angel investors. I spoke to some people in Harrogate who are angel investors. And they've looked at the film industry, but the film industry's never come towards them and seen what they wanted. And a lot of these people don't mind losing money, but they want to be part of it. So you've got to find a way of including them. And what the theatre does is that they continually, in the old days it used to be by letter, now it's by email. It's so easy to do, and continually involve them, let them know what's happening, keeping them going. The man who gives me the 50,000 revolving fund, he's always assumed he's going to lose it all, but every now and again I do give him a check back. But he loves it, and he's in a very dull job, and he likes that excitement. And that's what you can do. But for God's sake, do not lie about what the potential is, because that's the thing that infuriates so many of them, because it's not realistic. And really do seriously think about distributing it yourself, because you're going to sell it better than anyone else. And the cinemas are getting more and more. It's more difficult for me to get my small films in there. And if it's difficult for me, it's going to be difficult for you. So think about going straight to the other platforms. Already Amazon are coming on, and they're coming on really aggressively. They've just bought Love Film, and the reason is they want to be the #1 site. In 10 years' time, you will be going to your film. There will be a head of acquisitions at Amazon, and they'll put them on the platform, and they will be... Why go through a distributor? They just want films. They don't care where they come from, just decent films that they can rent out. And Amazon is extraordinary. I did something quite unique with them about 2 years ago, which I won't tell you because nobody has done it since. But what was amazing is the way that they can identify very, very easily people who are interested in your genre, and they can bring them to it by sending them emails. By every time they go up on Amazon, I don't know if you've seen it, whenever you do, if you like this, you'll like this one, if you bought this. And that's going to be very, very important for all of us. And I would urge you to think about going to be a distributor. I never wanted to do it, and I was forced to do it because it was the only way I could make a decent return. And the thing about distribution is you're the last money in, and you're the first one out. And why give that to somebody like me?